Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. We got Friday Night Lights to take care of, and we've got a big old battle. First place in the West on the line for the Indoor Football League, Vegas and San Diego. And yeah, having a game like this late into the season with a lot of playoff implications, it's going to be a fun one. So let's go preview it and see what we got in store. Alright, so taking a look at the only preview for Friday night, we have the 9-2 Vegas Nighthawks, 3-1 on the road. Obviously, they had the IFL Cup, takes away a couple of their road games, but taking on the San Diego Strikeforce, 8-2, 4-0 at home. They're one of the rare teams left this season that is undefeated at home still, so we'll see if they can continue that trend, or if Vegas is going to knock them from the perch of the undefeateds at home, at least. Obviously, as you see right there from the records, 8-2 and 9-2. If San Diego wins this game, they go to 9-2 and drops Vegas to 9-3. They are the number one seed in the West. Vice versa, 10-2 for Vegas, 8-3 for San Diego. Vegas clinches a playoff spot, I think, practically, yeah, because San Antonio, I don't think, can get to that point, so they will clinch a playoff spot. So that's where we have it with that. We got a 10 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Yahoo Sports, so I think even as early as last week or things like that, I think I was showing that this was supposed to be on overnight, so they've made the switch over to Yahoo Sports, so everyone can watch it as it should be, because this game should have huge implications, not just on the playoff race, not just on first place, but overall kind of supremacy in the league. Like, this is, for me, an opportunity for San Diego to really sit there and say, we are here. You've doubted us for years. I mean, myself personally and other teams, other writers, whatever the case could be. Now's your chance to put a stamp on what San Diego's built over the last couple of seasons. Same thing for Vegas. We're the defending champs. The last couple of weeks haven't, really been what we've wanted it to be. We're back. So, taking a look at our season leaders, Jayden de Laura and Nate Davis are leading passers for both sides. Jayden de Laura, 143 of 202, 1,752 passing yards, 39 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Nate Davis, actually, again, I've said this multiple times, not lately, but Father Time remains undefeated, but Father Time has never met Nate Davis. 182 of 298, 1,936 passing yards, 42 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions. The dude is still slinging it. I think he's the leading passer in terms of yardage in the Indoor Football League right now, almost 2,000 passing yards. Other players are close, but he is right there. He will pass 2,000 after this game, depending on how it goes. Josh Tomas, your leading rusher for Vegas, 135 rushing attempts, 570 rushing yards, and 19 rushing touchdowns. He's right up there with Dominic Roberto. If he's not first in the rushing yard category, he's at least second, because I don't know how many other players have over 500 rushing yards. I think it's him and Roberto. There might be one other player, but don't quote me on that. Edward Vander getting back into the fray of things from last week. 67 rushing attempts, 218 yards, and 11 rushing touchdowns. To see him get back into the game and rush a couple of times, more than a couple of times, it's a nice little 1-2 punch with him and Tyrell Green. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the 25-man roster, how they kind of go with that. Deshaun Stoudemire, he is your leading receiver for Vegas, 41 catches, 522 receiving yards, and 11 receiving touchdowns. And then Dallas Daniels for San Diego, 42 catches, 528 receiving yards, and 15 receiving touchdowns. So pretty similar numbers between the two players right there. Taking a look at our injury report for both sides, and a caveat to this, no roster update for this one. So these players could be off of the short-term injured reserve. Or there could be other players put on short-term injured reserve. So, grain of salt, spoiler alert for the 25-man rosters. I'll reiterate it in that. Taking a look at the injury report, though, what I noticed on Vegas's website is Sidney Walker was not on there. So if he is released, then that I will update that. But I did not see him on there. So whether or not he is truly released, I don't know. For San Diego, they don't really update their roster too heavily once in a blue moon. So what we have here is what we've had for the last couple of weeks or so. Take a look at our game odds presented by DraftKings here. We have -7.5 in favor of the Vegas Nighthawks with an over-under of 97.5. So a lot of points. Vegas, the casino, thinks we're going to score here. And then -325 to the money line for Vegas as the favorite on the road. +260 for San Diego as the underdog at home. And again, San Diego +7.5 as home underdog. So just a smidge over a touchdown. Game information, we are Front Wave Arena in Oceanside, California. Again, 10 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, so a very late kickoff. Yahoo Sports is our destination of choice to watch this one. And our series head-to-head, it's tied. And these two teams have not met since the 2025 Western Conference Championship, which saw Vegas go and win the Indoor Football League National Championship, where they beat Green Bay, but in this battle they beat San Diego 74-68 in overtime. Now, the caveat to this one, if you remember that playoff game, San Diego was the higher seed, but it was played in Vegas. We have not had a game in San Diego between Vegas and San Diego since May of 2025. It has been over a calendar year since these two teams have played against each other in San Diego. So that's a huge factor that we kind of need to put in that, and I believe San Diego won that game, if I remember looking at the scores and everything like that from one of my Excel sheets earlier this morning. So that's where we have it. So with that, we need to go take a look at our 25-man roster. We need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction, and then we'll wrap everything up and we'll get out of here. All right, taking a look at our 25-man rosters. And again, as I said, caveat to this one, haven't gotten a roster update. Transactions page gave me a 404 forbidden something. So what we have here is what I could get from the team websites and kind of what I've updated in the last week or so. So let's go with it. Jaden DeLora, let's start with the away side first. I got to say my sayings. So starting with the away side first. Jaden DeLora and Quincy Crittenden are your quarterbacks. DeLora is going to be your starter, with Crittenden being your backup. Josh Tomas is your lone running back for the Nighthawks. Your wide receiving core includes Deshaun Stoudemire, Quentin Randolph, Seneca McKee, John Irby, and Jalen Tillman. And as we do, Stoudemire, Randolph, and, well, it was Irby in the last game, but we'll see if McKee suits up. I don't think he suited up even. So we'll see if it's Irby, Randolph, Stoudemire, McKee, whoever they go with. Offensive line includes Christian Coulter, Zach Fortier, Charles Turner III, and Moses Mallory. Again, if Sidney Walker's not there, or if anything, mainstays from the last game or two has been Coulter, Turner, and Moses Mallory. So I look for that to kind of be the same thing. Fortier has suited up, has played on special teams, has gotten in there when he's needed to, things along those lines. To the defensive side, Lorenzo Hernandez, Kevon Bennett, Maurice Jackson, Damon Williams, and Billy Martin. So 5 guys right there. 3 of them are going to start. I believe in the last game that they had, it was Maurice Jackson, Damon Williams, and Kevon Bennett. Lorenzo Hernandez did suit up. Billy Martin did not. So we'll see if they carry all 5. We'll see if they carry 4, with one of them being the sub. Things along those lines. So your lone linebacker is Ian McBurrow. And then in the secondary, you've got Joe Fouché, Clifton Duck. This is what I found on the website. Angelo Gross, the former Iowa Barnstormer, coming over to Vegas. So if he plays, cool. If he doesn't, all right. Jesse Johnson III, Terry Roberts, and Ershad Davis to round it out. So 6 players on the defensive secondary. 4 of them are going to start. We'll see how many get suited up or anything like that when it comes to substitutions. Clifton Duck, Ershad Davis, Terry Roberts. Jesse Johnson did suit up in the last game. I don't think Joe Fouché did either. I don't think Joe Fouché suited up. So either way, we go through that kind of stuff. We'll see how they kind of rotate and go through all of that. Your kicker is Gabriel Rui, and that is your 25-man roster for your Vegas Nighthawks. Over to the San Diego side of things, not much changes to our knowledge. Things could change, but we'll see when they break the huddles and, do warm-ups and all of that stuff. I'm going to start calling him Keel, or Keal, because that's how Ari Wolf calls him. So Keal Kelly and Nate Davis are your quarterbacks. Davis is going to be your starter. Kelly's going to be your backup. He's also going to be your wildcat formation quarterback within the goal line and the red zone and stuff like that. He's even a kick returner. So he's trying to fit into that Rudy Johnson role that they've had over the last couple of seasons. Running backs include Edward Vander and Tyrell Green. We'll see who they start, honestly, with Vander coming back. Maybe they give Green a little bit of time off, a couple of weeks, while Vander carries the load, and then Green comes back, and if that's how they want to split it, great. Wide receivers include Shane Hooks, Dallas Daniels, Jalen Sample, and Cole Blackman. Your top three are going to be your starters, barring anything different. Hooks, Daniels, and Sample. Blackman does suit up. He does play, albeit sparingly, so we'll see how they kind of combat that. Offensive line includes Adrian Hawkins Jr., Ivory Scott, Jalen Booth, and Josh Castro. I believe it was Castro who did not play in the last game, but Hawkins, Scott, and Booth, all three of those guys suited up. Castro did not suit up or anything, so we'll see if anything changes with that. Otherwise, it's probably Hawkins, Scott, and Booth. Otherwise, Castro might slide in there. Defensive line includes Wallace Cowens, Adam Anderson, Fania Maije, and Rashawn Yates. The bottom three are most likely your starters with Anderson, Maije, and Yates. And that's how they've kind of gone about it a little bit. Cowens does suit up. He does get in there on special teams. He does get in there to rotate and give breathers and stuff like that. Linebacker includes Royce C. And then the secondary, Devin Hafford, Caleb Street, Herman Smith, Jamari Colson, Jelani Jefferson, Devon Banks, and Elijah Reed. Now, out of that, you've got 7 guys, and 4 of them are going to start. So 3 of them, we'll see how many of those 3 suit up. You're kind of lacking a little bit of depth in that defensive side of the ball, so we'll see how many of those guys, like I said, suit up and are able to keep that secondary fresh. We know that Vegas can run the ball. We know they can throw the ball, how it kind of goes with that. But if I had to wager a guess, it's probably going to be Hafford. It's probably, it's going to be Herman Smith for sure. And then I'm probably looking at Caleb Street if he gets his feet underneath him, and then maybe Jamari Colson. If not, Elijah Reed might be able to suit in there, maybe Jelani Jefferson. But regardless, you have your pick of the litter with that. Last but not least, your kicker is Ernesto Lacayo, and that's your 25-man roster for the San Diego Strikeforce. That was your 25-man roster for the Vegas Nighthawks. And with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction, and then we'll wrap everything up and we'll get out of here. All right, we need to take a look at our bet and prediction for this one. We're going to go out on a limb here. We can go under 97.5. And the reason why, the rosters are a little in flux. We don't really know what's going on here. And something I actually kind of neglected to mention until up until this point. I don't think any disciplinary action is taken between San Diego and Northern Arizona from what happened in their previous game with the fights and everything breaking out. But it would not shock me if there are players that are potentially suspended or fined or whatever the case could be. Now, is any of that going to be made public? No. And I understand why, but I also understand that there were issues that happened between Bay Area and San Diego that the commissioner had to talk about, and I'm amazed that nothing has been talked about on a grander scale about that, because I personally don't want that in this game. I don't think anyone else does, and this will be the last that I talk about it, because I don't want to keep bringing it up. But it does have an impact in this game if that is truly something that does cause fines, suspensions, or anything along those lines. I'm not sure if it will or not, and I'm not going to speculate. But if that is the case, that's what we have. I'm going to go under here, and the reason why I'm going to go under is that's a lot of points. And my second thought here is I know that San Diego doesn't have the best defense. I also know that Vegas's defense has been scored upon a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but I just do not see Vegas allowing over 40 or over 50 points even in this one. I think their defense is going to try and shore up a little bit. And then I also think that San Diego is also going to try and keep, possessions away from San Diego, San Diego is going to try and keep possessions away from Vegas, if I can use my words correctly out of my brain. I think the same thing here for Vegas too. They don't want to give the ball to Nate Davis and have him sling the rock around. I don't know if they have enough confidence in their secondary, as it's gone through a little bit of transition, whether it's bringing in Angelo Gross, whether it's bringing in Joe Fouché in the last month or so, whether it's kind of tinkering with that. Jesse Johnson just got reinstated from his CFL stint and things like that. So that secondary is, I wouldn't say in flux, but it's in a transition period for Vegas right now, and San Diego might be able to capitalize on that if it works. We know what San Diego's going to do. They're probably going to throw it more than they run it. We'll see how much they rely on their running game. On the flip side, San Diego needs to be able to take care of that passing game with Deshaun Stoudemire, with Quentin Randolph, and with Josh Tomas, and they need to be able to have a player like Royce C. or that defensive line take care of Tomas or Delora in that backfield and make sure that they can't run. We also know that Vegas likes to do some jet sweeps every once in a while with Stoudemire or with Randolph, or even someone like Seneca McKee or John Irby. They will do a motion handoff to the left or to the right or up the middle. They'll do whatever they need to do to keep defenses on their toes. And then just when you think you've got them to sleep, there's a deep shot to Stoudemire. There's a deep shot to Randolph or whoever, and it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, sometimes it draws a defensive pass interference. So my prediction for this one, 50-45 in favor of Vegas. I just have a hard time seeing them losing 2 in a row. They've had tough battles in the last couple of weeks with, dare I say, inferior opponents. I mean that in a term of way like where Vegas has been. Championship, IFL Cup, stuff like that. So I say inferior doesn't necessarily mean that the other teams sucked. They upset Vegas. So inferior, my ass. And then Northern Arizona took them right down to the wire and honestly should have upset Vegas, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. Point being, though, is Vegas does not look like Vegas in the last couple of weeks. San Diego has had a bye week to get ready. Well, yeah, they've had a bye week to get ready between now and then. In the last couple of weeks, dare I say. And we'll see how that kind of pertains to it, man. Because for me, it's going to boil down to, can you stop the passing attack of San Diego? And can you stop Josh Tomas for Vegas? And for the defenses, how do those defensive lines attack? Can you get the defensive line for Vegas, which has been very good, can you get them to get to Nate Davis? Can you smack him around a little bit? Can you sack him? I don't know if he's been sacked. It's been very, very minimal this season, if at all. I don't know if I can actually think of a time where he actually got sacked this season. You'd have to go back and think about it. I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that Vegas loses 2. But like I said earlier, this is a moment in time for San Diego to put their stamp on the Indoor Football League. I've been waiting for a moment like this. They win 8, 9, 10 games the last couple of seasons, and yes, they've had some upsets in there. They've made it to Western Conference Championships, but there's nothing in my mind, and it goes all the way back to the preseason. I said this in their preseason preview. They can win 8, 9, 10 games, but there's just something to me that just does not scream championship caliber team. And that's not like a bad thing necessarily, but if you get a win like this, that's on that. That stamp is right there. It means, hey, we can play with the big boys. We win this one. San Diego's schedule, I think, is very brutal after this. I think they still have to play Jacksonville. They have to play Vegas again, if I'm not mistaken. I think they have to play Arizona as well. So, I mean, I think in between now and the rest of the season, their only kind of gimme game is one against New Mexico. Other than that, it's like Jacksonville, Vegas, Arizona. I think Vegas a second time. I think maybe Arizona a second time. I can't remember. Actually, no, they already played Vegas once. It's insane how the rest of the season. So they need a win like this to vault themselves back up there. You get their 9th win of the season, potentially get win number 10 later on. Maybe it's New Mexico. Maybe it's someone else, whoever it could be. Because the rest of that schedule, it's not looking too good for them, depending on how this game kind of goes. This could be a building block to, hey, we're going to finish the season strong, or things could potentially start coming unraveled with how strong that rest of the schedule is for them. So either way, that's where we have it. I've rambled on enough with this one. We got under 97.5. I think the defense will show up a little bit. Offenses will still score points, but I think we'll be sweating it out. It'll be close. And then we got 50-45 in favor of Vegas. I think they just get the victory here, man. So that's where we have it. Let's wrap up. Let's get out of here. That is it for our preview of our Week 15 Friday action. Just the one game to speak of. Just a nice little matchup between two teams battling it out for Western Conference supremacy. Winner gets first place. Simple as that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I don't know if San Diego can clinch a playoff spot. I know Vegas can. But if I'm not mistaken, San Diego could as well if they win this game and San Antonio loses to Tulsa on Saturday. So, yeah, I'll have to go through and look at all the playoff scenarios and everything like that, because to be brutally honest with you, I didn't necessarily look at it except for these two teams. So, yeah, that's my fault. But we'll have more playoff scenarios and stuff like that in the Saturday slate of previews and all of that, and we go from there. But I'll make it somewhat short with this one. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch this. A little bit longer of a video because they're the only ticket in town for this game, so go a little bit longer and dive a little bit deeper and talk a little bit more about it. But with that, I'm going to take off here. Got to edit and get it out, and then we start working on the Saturday previews and start going from there. It's going to be a busy, busy, busy weekend for your boy, especially on Sunday. So that'll be fun. So with that, I'm going to take off here, guys. I love and appreciate you. Catch you guys in the rest of the previews and all the recaps and everything pertaining to Week 15 and onward. Till then, see ya.